Hello, I'm Esther Gidou-Yuat. It's Tuesday, May 3rd. This is Africa 54.
On this World Press Freedom Day, a closer look at Namibia's place in the history of African journalistic freedom. Why are Senegalese journalists finding it harder and harder to perform their duties? We'll explain.
Senegal stands out in West Africa with its media pluralism, consisting of more than 20 dailies, hundreds of radio stations and several television channels broadcasting from Dakar. There are no journalists currently in prison and no journalists have been killed while performing their duties. But Senegalese journalists say they are finding it harder and harder to perform their duty. Khalil Gay reports from Dakar.
With a constitution that guarantees freedom to inform, a diverse media landscape, and the reputation of a very stable country, Senegal has always been cited by observers as an example of a modern democracy fueled by its dynamic press. But the question is, how much of this freedom is enjoyed every day, in every circumstance, by every media person in Senegal?
We are not that free. We know that there are some religious forces that no one can report about. You know that there are certain issues that we cannot put into the media, into the mainstream media. We have seen political parties, whether opposition or parties in government, attacking journalists.
Senegalese media professionals stress the need for improvement and changes in the press code that was adopted in 2017.
This code now allows the administrative authority, meaning the prefect or the governor of the province, to assess a situation, a critical situation, if I may say that, and decide to close down a radio station or a TV channel.
So the biggest threat to Senegalese journalists is the Penal Code's Article 80, which calls for immediate detention and criminalizes any maneuver or act that might compromise public security or cause serious political disturbance. But Senegalese journalists have established a council called CORED with an internal court of peers which was given authority by the press code to suspend journalists, to withdraw press cards, and even to disbar journalists to ensure that they remain in an ethical line as recommended.
The current tribunal started its job at the end of September 2020, and so far it has taken care of something like 30 cases and then made some decision in favor of the press or detrimental to the press.
Senegal's professional journalists all claim that the situation requires the mobilization of all the different sectors of the press to fight for an amendment of the press code.
We will try as much as possible to extricate journalists from criminal sanctions such as prison. But the type of sanctions provided for the press companies are financial sanctions which will kill them tomorrow. However, the court did not provide for everything that is an offense committed via digital press, and today we are on digital. This deserves to be incorporated into the code.
The new press code does not break from the penal code and still keeps Article 80 and a series of legal repressive provisions that can send journalists to jail. Khalil Gay for VOA News, Dakar, Senegal.
While Senegal stands out as a beacon of hope for a free press, most of sub-Saharan African countries paint a grim picture of zero tolerance towards the media. Most countries reported numerous cases where journalists were tortured, jailed, and even killed for doing their job. For more insight on where Africa stands in relation to a free press, I'm joined live via Skype from New York by Angela Quintal, Africa Program Coordinator for the Committee to Protect Journalists. Angela, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you so much, Esther, and to your viewers, hello.
Looking back, Angela, in the last 2 years, how would you say Africa fared in terms of press freedom in the continent?
Well, I guess it's really bad news. It's much the same as elsewhere in the world, where in fact press freedom, like democracy, is in retreat. You've got more journalists in jail, you've had more journalists killed for their work, you have more censorship, more self-censorship, you have more assaults, you have gratuitous violence on journalists, and then of course one of the problems, the insidious use of spyware and digital surveillance to effectively intimidate the press.
You mentioned spyware, and we are in the digital world now where social media postings are, the in thing right now. But not everything posted on social media has been accurate. Is there a law that regulates social media and what is posted, and how are those who post content that is inaccurate held accountable?
I guess I should answer that question by saying that obviously we're always in favor and we encourage responsible journalism. But what we have seen, unfortunately, is how governments are criminalizing journalism online. It is, in fact, one of the trends that we've seen throughout sub-Saharan Africa, where governments turn their attention to what people are saying on social media, what they are writing online, what they're using on social media platforms, and attempt to stifle what is really free speech and media freedom. And so that, for the Committee to Protect Journalists, is a major, major concern and a trend that we have seen.
And how does CPJ protect journalists who are under threat?
There's a variety of ways. Obviously, we are called the Committee to Protect Journalists, and that is our mandate. I think we have a very good emergencies response team that over the years has become a lot more visible in the work that it does, be it in Afghanistan, be it in Burundi, now in Ukraine, where you actually have journalists who are offering the protection, safe passage, security advice, but also in terms of our own advocacy, which is key to the protection of journalists. You will see that we use our research to ensure that we advocate worldwide for the protection of journalists, so that they are in a position to do their work freely without fear of reprisal.
Angela, thanks. Angela Quintal, a CPJ Africa Program Director.